To celebrate the release of Legion of Superheroes, I had the opportunity to speak with Robbie Daymond about his role as Timberwolf in the film. Legion of Superheroes is DC and Warner Bros. Animation's upcoming animated film which follows Supergirl and her time training with the Legion. I had the pleasure of watching it ahead of my interviews with some of the cast and producers, and I had an absolute blast with it. I got to speak with Robbie Daymond, who voices Timberwolf, and we talked about how he found the voice for the role, his love for comics and all things nerdy, what it's like for a voice actor, and unusually about Peppa Pig and more. A huge thank you to Robbie Daymond for taking the time to talk with me about his role, and a huge thank you to Warner Bros. UK for the opportunity. Legion of Superheroes is out on digital, DVD and Blu-ray from the 7th of February and is available to pre-order now. Here's the interview and I hope you enjoy.
Hi Jasmine, how are you?
Hi, yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Oh, doing just fine.
Good. First of all, congratulations on the film. I watched it earlier today and it's awesome.
Oh, well, you got one up on me. I can't wait to see it.
Have you not seen it yet?
Not yet. I know I'll get to soon, but I got the link, and I really need to look at it immediately. I'm beyond excited. I've got a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, so it's somewhat preventing me from from partaking in media I enjoy. But I've been watching DC animated films like forever, since I was a teenager, so I'm over the moon to be a part of one. It's really exciting.
Oh, amazing. I know how you feel about the children aspect. I've got a 1.5-year-old, so we're constantly watching Peppa Pig at the moment.
Ah, Peppa Pig. Okay. Well, I hope you enjoy your time jumping up and down in muddy puddles.
So Timberwolf is a character that we don't really see too much of in any sort of kind of media. What can you tell us about your take on him?
Yeah, well, thankfully the team at DC and Warner Brothers is the best, so they gave me all the backstory I need. Also, thankfully, I'm a real life nerd, so I'm somewhat familiar with the character. It was funny, as we messed around with them, they wanted me to go with a slightly younger sounding voice, and which was interesting since he's sort of like a veteran type leader character, at least in this universe that's been created. And then as we played it, we found his like tougher, surlier, sort of harder edges as grumpy dad of the group, and I don't know. I like those kind of voice reason characters. So I had a great time, and it's a really cool character.
Yeah, were you a fan of the character before getting the role?
Yeah, absolutely. I used to. I was that kid on the playground that would trade like DC and Marvel comic cards on the schoolyard to make friends. So I definitely remember, for sure. And I like those kind of like gruff fighter characters. I've always been a fan.
What kinds of preparation did you do for the role, and did you delve quite deeply into the comics?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. That's sort of a double-edged sword. You definitely want to understand the world that you're in. Yeah. So I peeked at some of the comics and refamiliarized myself with the world, and then I didn't want to go in too deep because as an actor, then sometimes maybe you get some ideas in your head that don't match along with the adaptation of what you're doing. So yeah, let's just say I was familiar, but ready for direction from people who know a lot more than me.
And was there a lot more pressure with the character being a more niche one and one that hasn't really been given a voice yet, or did you find that sort of less pressureful?
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting question. I do occasionally look up to see if there's some sort of like legacy voice or someone that did it for a while, and it doesn't seem to be. I couldn't really find any reference on that. Yeah. So whenever you give a character a voice for the first time, whether they're pre-existing or not, it is an interesting challenge because, you're potentially setting something up for the future, or this is going to be your one shot at a character like that. So either way, you really want to give it your best. But the great part is that it was deftly handled in the direction department. They knew what they wanted from the character, and I think we were able to find a way to get there.
Yeah. And you're no stranger to voice acting, but how was this experience different to the projects that you've worked on before?
Yeah, everything's different. I have a long history with a few other comic book characters, and I have, outside of Young Justice and a few other bit parts here and there, I haven't done that much work with DC, and these films for me are always so enjoyable. Like, I watch them all. Like, back when people collected, I think if I look in my old DVD Blu-ray collection, I definitely have, like, probably, I don't know, 40 of these animated films. So to be in one is really exciting. My buddy Ray Chase, he did, what was it? Justice League, like, After Dark or In the Dark or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember, but I went to the premiere. What was it called?
Justice League Dark.
Yeah, Justice League Dark, and he played Jason Blood in that again. And he asked me to. He's a good friend, and he asked me to be his plus one of the premiere.
Oh, amazing!
And I love my friends. Nothing more makes me happier than watching my friends succeed. Like, I'm one of those like non-starvation mentality people. Like, I don't really get jealous, and I gotta say, I was jealous. I was like, oh man, you're in one of these DC movies. They're the best. So totally stoked to walk into this sort of like reboot of the universe version of this film.
Well, now you get to repay that favor.
I know. I'm gonna. We're post-COVID times. Nobody does anything cool anymore. We'll need another one, and then maybe they'll have a premiere.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I've never been a voice actor myself, but I assume that a lot of the recording is done sort of remotely and alone.
Well, sadly, that used to not be the case. I would say that if we had done this pre-pandemic, perhaps there'd be a chance at a group record, or at least a limited group record with a few main people there. But these days, I would say a good 50% of recording is now done remotely, and this was what happened to be one of those. But I'll say this, the production team, from the engineer to the executive producer and everyone in between, brought such a positive energy over Zoom and all the means we use to connect. It felt like I was there. So I just felt, feelings are silly but important, but I just felt really welcomed and trusted, and this whole team was really great, even in a remote setting.
Did the sort of remote recording make it difficult when it comes to getting into the zone or getting into the emotional state of the character?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think everybody wants to hear like method actor stories, like I drew my fingernails out, lived in the forest for a week before I recorded the character. But the truth is, like, I'm one of these sort of like interpretive actors that sort of trusts that everything you need is there on the page. So obviously, I read the movie. They sent me the whole thing, and I read it top to bottom. And then I checked out the scenes a few times. And then, since we don't have to be off book, I kind of went in there and let the powers that be steer me in the right direction. And I feel like I feel like no prep is bad, but I also feel like over prep can be a little bit damaging too. So
yeah, I know what you mean. So what's it like now to be able to show that film off to the fans now?
Oh man, I'm gonna build a case for it. I'm gonna put it in my living room. Everybody that comes over, I'm gonna make them watch my 4 minutes from the movie. I'll just play it on. I'll play it on repeat on my TV. No, it's awesome. I mean, I've done hundreds of projects and probably 1,000 different characters if you count all the little bits and pieces.
Yeah.
But the special stuff is stuff like this, and I know because I do a bunch of conventions, and even if it only affects a few people that are really fans of these characters, since they have these amazing legacies, that's all that matters to me. Like, the day I sign my first Timberwolf comic book, I'll be like, yeah, it was worth it, baby.
Well, if I ever see you at Comic-Con, I'm going to make sure I bring that comic.
Yeah, dude. For you, absolutely. Bring the Pantheon. I'll sign them all. It's true though. Like, one of the coolest things we get to do is work on these characters that have history and legacy, and I'm just so honored to be a part of it. DC was a big part of my childhood, and stoked to be here now.
And are there any other characters in the DC universe that you'd love to take on, because you're clearly a fan?
Oh, yes, I have a really cheeky answer to this question, if you're ready for it.
Go on.
Because I for some reason in the back of my head, I knew you might ask this. I know this sounds weird. I want to play Animal Man.
Okay.
I don't. Are you familiar at all, by any chance?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was kind of like this cheesy, like Aquaman of the Earth, like character there. I think 60s, late 60s, I want to say, is when he started. But then they did this wild run with all this crazy, like, body horror stuff in it. And I thought, how fun would it be to play this, like, cheesy kind of Booster Gold type superhero, which I'm very familiar with that archetype. And then, like, it's a 12-episode series. Then, like, episode 3, it just takes this crazy, like, Junji Ito Japanese body horror, like, turn to it. I just think that'd be really exciting and different. I mean, I don't know if they can do like Assassin Monkey or whatever that was. I think Animal Man needs his minute in the sun.
Yeah, well, I'd watch it for sure.
Heck yeah, let's go.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time today. It's been a pleasure. And enjoy the film when you finally get to watch it.
It's waiting for me. I'll be excited. Thank you so much, though. I appreciate your time.